Mic test. Stream test. Stream test. 1, 2. Stream audio test. Stream audio test. Stream audio test. Stream audio test. Stream test. Stream test. 1, 2. Stream test. Stream test. 1, 2. Stream test. Stream test. Audio test. Stream test. Stream test. Audio test.
Okay, that's fine. No, I can sit over here. How you stay? You sit over there. That's fine. No, no, no. No.
I know. I was looking around thinking, where's that seat empty? And it's mine. Here's I too. It's just our shoot. You all right, mate? How you doing? I feel well.
So that's enough. Yeah.
Is that including Margaret?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, I did count that.
Are you going to that thing tonight? Terry said it's going to be a lot more speed to that. He said, then you've got to be always going to sing on both.
Politicians love the sound of their own voice.
We've got that insurance residence as well.
The Worshipful Mayor of Enfield, Councillor Mohammed Islam, Deputy Mayor of Enfield, Cllr Margaret Greer, and the Director of Law and Governance, Mrs. Terry Osborne. Thank you.
Please be seated. Lovely, very good. I would like to welcome Reverend Paolo from the Hackney and Stoke-Newington Circuit, London District of the Methodist Church in the Britain, who will do the blessings today.
Good evening, current mayor, new mayor of Enfield in a few minutes, councillors, authorities, friends, colleagues, and members of this beloved community. It is with great joy and a deep sense of honor that I stand before you today to offer a word of blessing and encouragement as we mark the inauguration of Margaret Greer as the new mayor of Enfield, this diverse and dynamic borough. Margaret, you step into this role as a woman of faith, shaped by your Christian upbringing, and as someone whose family came to this country from overseas like me, bringing with them values of trustworthy, community, and hope. You follow in the footsteps of others raised in the Methodist tradition who have worked tirelessly for justice and human dignity across the world, such as Nelson Mandela in South Africa and Agostinho Neto in Angola. Your commitment to service reflects the very best of our shared heritage. The first time I heard the name Margaret Greer was just a few days after I arrived in this country to serve the Methodist Church in 2020. Those were difficult days during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I had to chair an online church council meeting to approve certain procedures that would allow Margaret to become a representative of the London district to the annual conference of the Methodist Church in Britain. It wasn't until the following year, 2021, when we were able to resume in-person activities that I met her in person and had the privilege of hearing her sing in a Methodist Sunday service and receiving as a gift a delicious Caribbean cake baked by her mother, Tina Greer. To me, Margaret has been an example of gentle yet determined person, someone who's able to grasp both the bigger picture of a situation and the finer details within it. She's someone who does not compromise when it comes to matters of justice. She fights for equality, diversity, and inclusion, and challenges all forms of prejudice, and more specifically, racism. In times of intolerance, I would like to acknowledge the value of all those who strive and work for a world that respects differences. Religious leaders, workers in the most diverse professions, who contribute to making our daily lives better. We are all inspired by the work of a leader like Margaret in the pursuit of those goals. We also recognize and give thanks for all the religious leaders of many different expressions of faith who gather regularly, not only to share ideas, but to dream and work together for a world marked by peace, dignity, and prosperity for all people, regardless of background or belief. I'd like to take this opportunity to honor the life and legacy of Pope Francis, a remarkable leader who touched the hearts of millions around the world. He was the first Latin American Pope, born in Argentina, whose national football team has been a challenging opponent for Brazil, my country of birth. He was a beacon of empathy and inclusivity, pursuing social justice, advocating for the poor, marginalized, and the environment. He showed dedication to interfaith dialogue and global peace with his unwavering resilience and faith, inspiring many. Let us remember Pope Francis' contributions, not only as a religious leader, but as a symbol of hope, compassion, and unity. May his legacy respectfully live on in our hearts and actions. As this significant moment in history, we also pray for and welcome Pope Leo XIV, the newly elected pontiff, as he begins his spiritual and moral leadership on the global stage. And now I take the liberty of addressing you, Margaret, as Madam Mayor, as in just a few minutes, you will be officially sworn in as such. Madam Mayor, in this borough, where diversity is a source of strength, may your leadership reflect the values of compassion, justice, and inclusion. May you continue to uplift those whose voices often go unheard. And may your actions always be guided by wisdom and a generous spirit. And a blessing, may the eternal God, who creates and sustains all life, bless you in your new office. May wisdom be your companion, and courage your constant friend. May your heart remain open to the cries of the vulnerable, and your hands be ready to serve with humility. May the light of justice shine through all your endeavors, and may peace dwell within you as you lead. May God bless you, your family, and all the people of this borough, now and always. Amen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the annual meeting of Enfield Council. I'm particularly pleased to welcome Anne Cable, MB, the Deputy Lieutenant of our borough. Item 1 on your agenda is not required. We move to agenda item 2, apologies. Can I please have any apologies or lateness?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got 4 apologies tonight. Councillor Needs, Councillor Oikner, Councillor Stevens, and Councillor Ozer.
Thank you, Councillor.
Your Worship, we have 3 apologies on this side: Councillor Fox, Councillor Day, and Councillor Hockley.
Thank you very much. Do members have any declarations of interest? Thank you. Can I ask a member to move approval of the minutes from the council meeting held on 27 February 2025?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the minutes as a correct record.
Seconded, Your Worship.
Thank you. Are they agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Now it's my turn. It is both an honor and a moment of reflection as I stand before you as this council meeting to mark the conclusion of my term as Mayor of Enfield. The time has come to pass on the civic responsibilities to my successor, to whom I extend my heartfelt congratulations and best wishes for the year ahead. I'm confident the office will continue to be upheld with dignity, dedication, and service to our borough. Serving as mayor has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. Over the past year, I have had the opportunity to meet many remarkable residents, community groups, and organizations who make Enfield the vibrant, diverse, and resilient borough it is today. From civic ceremonies to school visits, charity events to local celebrations, each engagement has deepened my pride in our community and the work we do together. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to my family and friends for their unwavering support, particularly my wife and my children, who have been my constant source of strength throughout this demanding yet immense rewarding journey. Balancing family life with the responsibilities of the majority has not been without its challenges, but their love and encouragement have made it possible. I'm also immensely grateful to the officers of the Council who have guided and supported me every step of the way. My sincere thanks to Terry Osborne and Claire Johnson for your professionalism, advice, and commitment to ensuring the success of each civic duty undertaken. A special thank you must go to Kola, Nicola, Paresh, Paul, Devon, and Danny. Your dedication, organization, and tireless work behind the scenes have enabled the smooth delivery of countless engagement and public duties. Without your support, my mayoral year would not have been possible. To my fellow councillors, thank you for your warm welcome and for allowing me the honor of chairing the council meetings. I have endeavored to carry out this responsibility with fairness, integrity, and respect for the democratic process. I hope I have fulfilled this role to your satisfaction. As I step down from this office, I do so with a sense of gratitude and pride for what we have achieved all together. I look forward to continuing to serve our borough in other capacities, and I remain committed to supporting the new mayor in any way I can. Thank you all once again and for your support and the privileges of serving as the mayor of London Borough of Enfield. Thank you. I now call for nominations for the office of mayor for the coming year. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'm honoured to nominate Cllr Margaret Greer to serve as the Mayor of the London Borough of Enfield for the next term. Margaret, you are a champion for all of our communities in Enfield. You have served as a councillor, as a community leader, and as I say, as a community champion for our communities, not just in Edmonton, but across the borough. We look forward to working with you as your Labour group, your councillors, and as the Cabinet. I know that you're focused on raising money for the charities that are close to your heart. I know that you will engage with all of our community stakeholders and charities across the borough, just like our previous mayor did, Mr. Mayor, and I know that you'll be dedicated and compassionate. I look forward to working with you, and I want to also say a massive thank you to Councillor Mohammed Islam for serving his borough so diligently and for being a role model and a community champion. Mohammed, you've done yourself, your communities and Ponders End Ward a great honour by serving as the mayor, and we have enjoyed working with you as councillors. Thank you both, and Mr. Mayor, I nominate Councillor Greer as said. Thank you.
Is that seconded?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to second Councillor Margaret Greer to be our next Mayor for the London Borough of Enfield. And may I begin, Mr. Mayor, as rightly outlined by the leader, by thanking you for your service to the borough over the last year. But there is one achievement that you've neglected to mention, which you made Councillor Aksanoglu wear a tie tonight, which is a huge achievement. That's all right. As long as he's smiling, he gets it. It's fine. You are finally now going to rejoin us mortals on the benches over here. But on reflecting on your mayoralty, I just want to say a couple of things. Firstly, as I said when I seconded you the first time, is that you were a gentleman and you have continued in that vein in your current role. And I've been here for 11 years, and you are amongst the very small pantheon of fair mayors that we've had. And on this side, that is all that we've ever asked for, and you have delivered in spades. I would say, Mr. Mayor, in your lovely tribute to your family, that you are a family man. And that's something that you know, it has shone out of you as long as you've been a member of the council and as mayor. And I know that they are rightly proud of you, as are all of we. Now on to the current deputy mayor. And there's a lot of foregone conclusion going around. We don't know what the outcome will be yet, Margaret. Firstly, extremely disappointed in the wonderful speech that we had from what I presume is your priest, that you're delivering Caribbean cake to the church, but not to your colleagues. As I walked through the reception area downstairs and I heard the music, that is Margaret. Full of life, someone that, as we know, appreciates her music and her singing, and it's good to know it's not just here, it's also during faith services. And, reflecting on your faith, I know it's a large part of who you are. Also a woman of the trade union movement and the Labour Party and the Labour movement, something that I know you're extremely proud of. And colleagues on either side can attest, I made a comment recently in a meeting and said, I am partial to a strong woman. And that is why I'm extremely glad that we have a strong woman taking over the mayoralty. As I said in my tribute to soon-to-be Councillor Islam, but the current mayor, that I know on this side to us, you will be firm but fair, as you have been in committees over my time serving with you as colleagues. It is an enormous, in fact, probably the greatest honour to be the first citizen of our borough, and I know you will carry that out with distinction. So good luck.
Councillor Greer has been nominated. Is that agreed? I'm pleased to confirm that Councillor Greer has been duly elected to the role of the Worshipful, the Mayor of Enfield. Congratulations. Thank you very much. I'll now leave the chamber with the newly elected mayor and will return in a few minutes. Thank you.
Might be a bit warm for the robes.
Please be seated, everyone. I was just going to go back onto that seat, actually. Oh, which one am I using? This one? Yeah. Perfect. Deputy Lieutenant, honoured and distinguished guests, family, friends, colleagues and fellow councillors. I would like to welcome you and to thank you for being here this evening. I am proud and honoured to be here as the elected mayor of this great, vibrant and diverse borough of ours. I would like to thank the outgoing mayor for his services to our wonderful borough, and you're greatly appreciated. To my fellow councillors, you bestow a great privilege and responsibility upon me, and I express my sincere appreciation to you all for placing your trust in me. It is an honour to stand among you, ready to serve the people of Enfield. You see, I take this responsibility and the trust that you have shown in me very seriously. I commit to serving the people of the borough to the best of my abilities with faith, compassion and devotion to our community. Thanks to you all individually and collectively for enabling me to take the mayoral role of office for a year. I give thanks and appreciation to Terry Osborne, Director of Law and Governance, and the officers in the governance team, and the Mayor's Office, especially Cllr, for their invaluable help and support during the run-up to tonight's ceremony. To begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and to thank the Lord for walking with me even when I couldn't see the path. Your presence is my strength, my comfort, and my peace. It is with his guidance that I step into this role, committed to serving with integrity, faith, and compassion. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you to my mum. Your unconditional love, the kind that never wavers, never asks for anything in return, always surrounds me with warmth, strength, whenever I need it. To my life partner, Jerome. Your love uplifts me, your support grounds me. Even the hard stuff feels doable, which makes our lives feel so much more easier and full of purpose. And to my brothers, David and Gary. Our bond transcends understanding and football. You know what they say, blood is thicker than water. Even when we are on opposite sides of the pitch, that will never change. To my extended family, my dearest friends, dignitaries from the Montserrat diaspora, MPs, work colleagues, neighbours. This moment is as much as yours as it is mine. The support has carried me. I am profoundly blessed to have you all here tonight. Whether it be in the council chambers, in the gallery, or in the conference room, your presence means the world to me. Each and every one of you hold a special place in my life, and I am deeply thankful that you are here to share this significant milestone with me. And to my ancestors, I pay homage to you every day for a bloodline that is strong and inspiring. As the first Black Caribbean woman to be elected as Mayor of the London Borough of Enfield, I am deeply humbled. This is more than a title, it is a commitment. And I promise to uplift this community, ensuring that every resident feels seen, heard, and valued. As I reflect on my journey, I am reminded that our stories are our most powerful tool. My lived experience, my heritage, and the challenges I have overcome have shaped my mission to mobilise communities, champion justice, and dismantle racial and gender inequalities. I know what it means to fight to be heard, to stand alone in rooms where your voice was needed but not always welcome, but yet still I rise. So who am I? I'm a survivor. I'm a descendant of survivors. I have spent my life not only learning about the rules but shaping them as well. I was born in the London Borough of Hackney at Mother's Hospital. I went to Fleetwood and Jubilee Primary School. My secondary education was spent at Woodbury Down Comprehensive and City and East London College, and in 1993 I enrolled at Middlesex University based in Enfield and moved to Enfield in June 1999. You see, I was destined to be here and was featured in Enfield's Racial Equality, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives, celebrating achievements and uniting communities in 2002. You see, growing up in the late 70s, I often felt the weight of stereotypes and assumptions that were projected onto me and my community. I remember sitting in classrooms where history was often reduced to a few months of study, where the rich tapestry of Black contributions were overshadowed by silence. It wasn't until I took the initiative to seek out knowledge beyond the curriculum that I began to reclaim my own narrative. By seeking knowledge, studying the works of Black authors, historians, and activists who inspired me to challenge the status quo. So let me take you back to the 1st of February 1988. As a young woman walking through the doors of Latimer Day Nursery, my first day as a nursery assistant would mark the beginning of a lifelong journey of service and activism, and that within days I would join a trade union called NowGo, igniting a passion for justice that would define my career. And for the next 4 decades, working within Unison, I've held numerous trade union and community positions, each one deepening my commitment to workers' rights, social justice, and equity. I've been a senior social worker, protecting vulnerable children, families, and looked after and fostering and adoption. A leader in NowGo and Unison as a branch secretary and a national officer. A representative of the Methodist Church, serving as a London district and circuit steward. A trustee of Boiler House Spaces, a community-based organisation in North London, and I am co-founder and director of Caribbean Voices for Labour at CIC. I've led a community organiser, a trade unionist, a councillor, and now as your elected mayor. My journey has been marked by both triumph and adversity. I have faced racism and sexism, been called names meant to diminish me, but I had to fight harder just simply to be heard. But I refuse to let anyone define me. Their prejudice, I have stood firm not to fit into a mould, but to break barriers. I do not apologise for my presence, I embrace it. You see, for decades, I've dedicated my life to uplifting communities, advocating for young people, and ensuring that women, especially Black women, and those historically marginalised are seen and valued. You see, Enfield is home, and its people deserve leadership that listens, represents, and acts. Our young people must see that they belong in every space they aspire to occupy. When it comes, we must hand them the keys to leadership without fear or favour. Because if we understand that today's Britain is multi-ethnic, multi-faith, and multilingual, yet too often decisions are made without the voices of those affected, and that must change. And as Maya Angelou once said, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. So you see, I carry my ancestors, my community, and my dreams of future generations with me always. Because history is not about the past, it is about the future. But once you understand the past, it will inform you, empower us, move us, and challenge us to build a better future. It teaches us resilience, ignites our passion, and reminds us that we are capable of shaping the world in whichever way we wish. And so I vow to serve the London Borough of Enfield as your mayor to the best of my ability, and promise to support and encourage all the agencies, voluntary sector units that tirelessly work to provide excellent service to those who most need it. And so when it comes to my theme for this year, it will be based around faith, community health and well-being, and young people. Enfield is home to people of faith and backgrounds, and it is through our shared values of compassion, understanding, and service in unity that we will create a stronger borough. Community is not just about where we live, it's about how we support, uplift, empower each other through healthy living, well-being, and accessing services for cultural needs, and unlocking the potential of our young people. Providing opportunities to all is all of our responsibilities, to give them the tools that they need to succeed. Highlighting initiatives like Nexus and our youth provisions in Enfield will be an absolute pleasure. And so by promoting unity and shared value amongst our diverse community, we will build a stronger and fairer Enfield. And I'm hoping to gain as much support as possible during my mayoral year through my charity work. And although I realise that my main priority will be to raise awareness and to act as an ambassador to make a positive impact where I can, I'm hoping to work with the 3 incredible organisations as my chosen charities this year. Enfield Sickle Cell Society. The support group is based in Middlesex Hospital, and I hope to reach out to them shortly. Enfield Black Heritage Hub, a community-based group in Edmonton, having raised the profile and igniting hard to reach communities across the borough, and I look forward to working and collaborating with them. And Enfield-based Macmillan Cancer Support, a charity that is close to my heart, and incredible fundraising volunteers. So I hope you will support and donate to my chosen charities and organisations, and also attend events that I intend to host over the next 12 months. And all volunteers are welcome. I see you all in the room looking intensely. I will be calling on you. So remember this: you cannot control how others perceive your energy. Their reaction is filtered through their own experience and not a reflection of your worth. So stay true to yourself, move forward with passion, compassion, integrity and love, because the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world will treat you. And as it was once said, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after an experience with you will become your trademark. So let us stand together, rise together and build a future that reflects and creates a borough where every resident in Enfield can thrive and fulfil their potential. And I look forward to taking this journey with you all as your elected mayor. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. I'm going to go to the programme now. I'll just put it all to one side. Thank you, Terry. Take that for me. Sorry. Okay, we now move on to agenda item 7, election of deputy mayor. I call for nominations for the office of deputy mayor for the coming year.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I am honoured to nominate Councillor Nelly Gyosheva of New Southgate Ward to be our Deputy Mayor for the year coming. Nelly, again, you are a community champion and you are a role model for all of us as councillors. We know that you will serve this borough in the best possible way and you will continue to work hard for all of the communities that you represent. I'm also honoured that you will be our first ever Bulgarian-speaking deputy mayor if elected tonight, and so this also brings us pride and lots of it. We look forward to working with you as your councillors, as your Labour group, and I'm sure councillors across the chamber, and we look forward to serving all of our residents alongside you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is that seconded?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to second the nomination of Councillor Nelly Gyosheva to the role of Deputy Mayor of the London Borough of Enfield. There's one thing that's always struck me about Nelly, and I don't know if she's going to like this or not, is that when you're in committee, and well, colleagues here know what I'm like here and in committee, to be fair, she has got this glare that tells you exactly what she thinks without ever uttering a word. And to be fair, I've seen it far too many times when I've had to sub at planning or recent equalities committee. But nevertheless, Nelly has always been kind, fair, and always very generous, always ready for a chat. I must say she's tried more than once to get me to go skiing with my family in Bulgaria. If she's willing to be my guide, I'm more than happy to go. But, you know, I know she is a good and loyal public servant to the people of New Southgate, and I've heard that on more than one occasion. So I wish her and her family well and a very successful deputy mayoralship. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Nelly Gyosheva has been nominated. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
I'm pleased to confirm that Councillor Gyosheva has duly been elected to the role of Deputy Mayor. Please can I ask Councillor Gyosheva to come to the well to receive your badge of office from the Deputy Lieutenant and sign the declaration of office in front of the Director of Law and Governance. Thank you. So we now move on to agenda item 8, appointment of consorts. It gives me great pleasure to announce that Mr. Jerome George and Mrs. Alfreda Greer will be my consorts. Please come forward and receive your badge of office. Thank you. I would like to ask the Deputy Mayor to announce her consort, please.
Thank you. I'm pleased to announce Mr. Gyosheva to be my consort. Please come forward and receive your badge of office.
We now move on to agenda item 9. Our thanks to our past mayor and consuls for their work during the mayoral year. On behalf of the council and the deputy lieutenant, we now present you with your badges. Councillor Mohammed Islam, please come forward with your consuls to receive your badges. So thank you, councillors. The mayor making is now concluded, but I just have a few announcements that I need to make. Can I just firstly say congratulations to our newly appointed Chief Executive, Perry Scott. I want to wish him all the best in his new role and look forward to working with you, Perry. On the 1st of April 1965, the London Borough of Enfield was officially created when the municipal boroughs of Southgate, Edmonton and Enfield were merged to create one local authority. Becoming one of 32 London boroughs based in Enfield, our council therefore celebrates its 60th year. This is a wonderful milestone in the history of our borough and one that I am very proud to be part of as your mayor. Congratulations to Pope Leo XIV, who has been elected as the new Pope following the sad passing of Pope Francis in April. Council, 80 years ago on the 8th of May 1945, known as Victory in Europe Day, VE Day, Germany unconditionally surrendered its military forces to the Allies, and this was followed by celebrations around the world to mark the end of World War II in Europe. Let us take time to reflect on the cost of lives of millions of people, huge suffering of populations of entire countries. Following the catastrophic disaster that has occurred during the earthquake in Myanmar and Thailand, our thoughts and prayers are with all of the families affected. I'm sure you will all join me in sending our sincere condolences to the families of former councillor John Egan and Henry Marden, who both recently passed away. Would any member like the opportunity to speak?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to speak first of all to John Egan. I'll then allow the other sub-agents if they would like to, and then perhaps we can address Henry Marden. John Egan, I think, would have rather relished the idea that I've got to give the oration in his memory at the mayor making, because he was a man who very much enjoyed his year as mayor of the borough. John was a ward colleague of mine, so I'm not having a good year, members, ladies and gentlemen, because I lost Graham Eustace in January and I've now lost dear John in recent weeks. So the three of us served town ward together, and John joined Graham and I, and that was actually a little bit of a challenge, because when you've had two people who have worked together over a long period of time and were close friends, it meant that you had to fit in. And John fitted in superbly. There was never any issue. He was part of the team, and he just made it very easy for us to include him and to work with him. And I think that is hugely to his credit and the sort of sense of the sort of person that John was. John came from South London, and he was a Millwall supporter, which is something that's a bit of a surprise, because a least likely Millwall bother boy you could not wish to imagine. But he retained that loyalty throughout his life. The big driver in John's life was his Roman Catholic faith, and it was through his faith that he met his beloved wife Teresa, and they spent most of their life working on behalf of other people, and in particular young people. So although he was not a priest, I felt he had a lifelong ministry to young people. He worked particularly with the St Joseph Children's Home that used to be in Holt Whites Hill. He ran a boys' club, and he took numerous holidays for young people over many years, always assisted by his wife. He was a member of the Knights of St Columba, and he organised many events, including a national youth competition held at the old Pickett's Lock Stadium in the 1970s. John was also the chief steward when Pope John Paul visited us in 1982 at Wembley. So he was responsible for hundreds of other stewards, and that was a massive piece of organisation. In 1988, he was awarded the Knight of the Order of St Gregory the Great by the Pope in recognition of the youth work that he undertook. His commitment to young people was seen in his school governorships at the Holy Family in St Angela's, later St Anne's, and also at St George's School in Townwall, where he served as a governor for beyond 20 years. On the council, he served firstly in Highfield Ward, 1990 to 94, and then Townwall, 2002 to 6. It is not a surprise when you look at his committees that it was the Enfield Schools Committee, Vice Chairman of the Education Committee, Deputy Cabinet Member for Children's Services. So the work that he did outside of the council clearly continued in his time on the council. He was Mayor of Enfield 2004 to 5 and was a great ambassador for the borough, ably assisted by Therese, who, to the best of my memory, did all of the catering in the Mayor's Parlour throughout the year he was Mayor. So at the end of the council meeting, when we repaired to the Mayor's Parlour, Therese would be there, and there'd be the most superb spread that you could imagine. Nearly all of it, I would imagine, homemade and to an incredibly high standard. John was made a Freeman of the Borough in 2007, and off the council, he continued to serve, in particular, remembering his national service with the RAF. He worked with the RAF Association and the Royal British Legion. John led a very full life, and towards the end of his life, we would often meet, surprisingly, outside the Moon Under Water about 9:30 in the morning. And I was, and it shows our age, I was probably on the way to the doctor's to collect my prescription, and John was coming out in his Zimmer frame, having had a fry-up and a very good breakfast in the pub. Because one thing I did know, John was not a drinker, so the idea of John coming out of the pub at 9:30 in the morning sort of was incongruent, because it was not in line with what he would normally be doing. So John was able to shift for himself until very advanced old age. He had a very full life, a very good life at service to the people, and I'm sure he'll be sadly missed by everybody, but particularly by Kathy, his other children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I'm sure the whole chamber will join me in wishing that he rests in peace. Thank you, Your Worship.
At this meeting becoming the mayor. So it is a symbolic day to celebrate John's time. Also, as some people may know, John was my next door neighbour. So I probably knew him more through that than through the politics of the council. And John, until very late in his life, always wanted to know what was going on in the council. Unfortunately, I wasn't often able to tell him, but he wanted to know what was going on. So he kept an interest in the politics of the borough until very near the end of his life. As Mike has said, and Mike has very ably gone through what John did, what his interests were, and I think that was important. When he was predeceased by Teresa, I mean, we thought he would find it difficult because she seemed to do all the work. Certainly she was more interested in the garden than he was. But he came out, he blossomed in later life, and as Councillor Rice says, he liked to visit the moon underwater, and he would go and get on the bus to the Catholic Church to celebrate Mass, and became equally active in that later life. Now, I think he would perhaps look at us today and say, well, I hope you know what you're getting into. I hope you know what you're going to do. But it was sad when John had to move and when John died quite recently. And I think that we should reflect on the contribution that John made, both directly in the council, and as Councillor Rice said, it was as part of education and children's services that he contributed the most. I always look at John's life as a life well lived and perhaps segmented into three areas. One, there was the council, which he served on committees and was mayor and was in 2007 made a freedom of the borough. So I think that was one area of his life and his interest in politics. The second one was his faith and attendance at church, driven by a clear guiding principles around his life. And the third one was his family. And it's good to see Kathy here and Dennis, Gregory and Angela, his other children and grandchildren. He was very, very fond of his family and would comment and talk about what they were doing over the garden fence, even if he wasn't doing the garden. So it's a real sadness to have to speak today about John, because I just echo Mike and say, rest in peace. Thank you.
Henry Marden was a very different character to both of them into their 90s at the time of their death. Henry was the ward councillor for St Mark's ward from 1982 to 90. He was a very diligent ward councillor and he served on many committees, most of which you would not recognise today. So before the cabinet system came in, he served on the following committees, which is, I think, of significant interest. There's only one or two of us who will remember these. Housing Committee, fine. The Tenants Consultative Group, the Housing Benefits Review Committee, the Manpower and Management Subcommittee. Now, I do suggest, Your Worship, we would never get away with a title like that today. Public Services and Protection, Public Safety and Advisory Committee, Road Safety Advisory Group, Traffic Subcommittee, Social Services, okay, we recognise that, and outside bodies, he was involved in the Edmonton Old People's Welfare Association, the Edmonton Carnival Committee, and the Edmonton United Charities. Now, that is a list of work of a really dedicated, hard-working, backbench member of the council. And those people are as valuable as those people who sit more prominently in the council. And I think that says a lot about Henry. He was a real Londoner who was born not so far away from the second love of his life, the first love of his life being his wife Doreen, the second love of his life being Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. And he was a season ticket holder there almost up until his death. And despite having retired to Rayleigh in Essex, until his very late 80s, the last 3 or 4 years, he came in every week. Arsenal had a home match and would be there and would be cheering them on. He was a London Transport bus driver, and he met his wife because she was his conductoress, and that is how the happy couple met. Doreen also served on the council, and after he had lost his seat, she served as mayor in the years 92 to 3, and Henry was her very sometimes curmudgeonly consort, but he did a good job in supporting his wife, as he did in everything. Away from the council, Henry was very active in charity. He was an active Freemasonry, and he carried the office of charity steward. And he was absolutely superb at getting people to sign up direct debits to a charity, organising raffles, organising ladies' nights, organising all sorts of fundraising. And it is reckoned that in that role, he raised in excess of £40,000 over a period of some 8 to 10 years. So that is a very significant achievement outside of his council work. He had a number of children, great-grandchildren and grandchildren. He was well until last October when I last saw him, and it was only a very short illness that took him away from us, and I feel certain that Doreen is there ready to welcome him, and the two of them are reunited. Henry, again, may you rest in peace.
I'd like to ask for 1 minute silence. And those lost their lives in the earthquake. And for those who can you please stand? Thank you. Please be seated. Thanks, Terry. Yeah. Okay, so Council, I will now move on to the business items on the agenda, and I will preside over the meeting fairly and evenly, and I would appreciate the cooperation from both sides of the chambers, because I have guests waiting. Notification. Moving. Is there?
Cake.
Oh, come on now, you have to come down, so let's move quickly. Okay, moving on to agenda item 10. I will now invite Councillor Ergin Erbal, Leader of the Council, to announce the appointments of the executive members and their respective functions. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me just grab this. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm delighted to move the item number 10 and would like to announce that I propose that for Children's Services, Councillor Abdullah Abdullahi continues to serve as Cabinet Member. For Environment and Placemaking, Councillor Sabri Ozaiden continues to serve. For Housing, Councillor Ayten Güzel. For Planning and Regulatory Services, Councillor Suzan Erbil. For Transport and Waste, Councillor Rick Jewell. For Culture and Inclusion, Councillor Chinelo Anyanwu. For Health and Social Care, Councillor Alev Jazimoglu. And for Community Cohesion and Enforcement, Councillor Gina Needs. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Erbal, can I ask that the appointments are noted in the minutes as set out in the supplementary agenda? So we now move on to agenda item 11, appointment to Council Committee membership for 2025-2026. Members are asked to agree the political balance of the committees, joint committees and panels, and agree the establishment of the council committees and their membership as set out in the supplementary agenda. Can I ask the members to move the item, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations as well on your appointment and the deputy as well. Thank you. I propose the changes to the members on committees and outside bodies as set out in the agenda or supplementary agenda.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Happy to second it and agree, Your Worship.
Thank you. That's agreed. We now move on to agenda item 12, representation of outside bodies and organisations for 2025-26. Council is asked to agree the representation on outside bodies and organisations as set out in the supplementary agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose the following changes to the members on committees and outside bodies. That's within in the papers there. Thank you.
Again, second and agree.
Thank you very much. Is that agreed? Then the members' allowance. Moving on to agenda item 14. Can I ask for a member to move the report? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I move that the members' allowance scheme for the municipal year 25-26 is approved as set out in the Constitution, but that no uplift is applied to the scheme at the current time. Bear with me, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, this report presents the Council's statutory and annual review of the members' allowance scheme as set out in the Council's Constitution and the local authorities' members' allowances regulations established by the government. These regulations also made provision for London councils to establish an independent panel to make recommendations on councillors' remuneration and allowance. In a city as vibrant and varied as ours, it is crucial that all communities feel they have a voice in their local government. It is crucial that people of all walks of life are able to serve as councillors and take part in democracy, regardless of their income, their background, and anything else. While London boroughs, including ours, generally benefit from a more diverse range of councillors, significant challenges remain, and with both sides of the chamber currently selecting who will stand in 26, it is important that we all keep that in mind tonight. Across the country, the average age of a councillor is 59. 40% of councillors are retired and only around 7% of councillors are from an ethnic minority background. If we are to serve our communities to the best of our abilities, those of us in this chamber must reflect those that we represent. Clearly, whether workload, work-life balance or pay, many people feel locked out of representing their communities. This should not be the way, and we should always pay those working fairly, regardless of their job title. Saying all of that, Madam Mayor, we have decided as the Labour Group and the administration this year that we will not be taking the uplift. And that's pretty much what I've wanted to say. I won't take up the 5 minutes, and I'm happy to move this report in that way. Thank you.
Is that seconded?
I'm happy to second and use my right to speak now, Madam Mayor. I obviously welcome what the Leader of the Council said, and I don't think I disagree with a word of it. I think we are, with this report, in a very tricky situation where we're giving staff a 3% uplift, but the recommendations, which I'm glad to hear that the administration are not adopting, a 6% uplift, particularly at a time during a cost of living crisis when many of our residents up and down the borough are struggling to make ends meet. I've always been of the view, and to be fair, I did have a very in-depth conversations with the previous Leader of the Council about a more rational way to handle this issue. I've always been of the view that councillors' allowances should be completely removed from our hands, as it is with MPs. And I'm glad, the words from the Leader of the Council is a very grown-up way of addressing it, and I wouldn't expect anything less from Councillor Erbil. I would say that, in particular, his words about what we sacrifice, our careers in many respects, time with our family to be here. Quite obviously, we do not do it for the money, as we know. And that may seem like an odd thing to say, given that everybody thinks that politicians have their snouts in the trough. In reality, being a councillor, if you do it well, is grueling, yet extremely rewarding. So I welcome the approach from the leader of the council, and whatever the outcome of the local elections next year, I hope that we continue to have grown-up conversations about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Does the mover want the exercise right of reply? Thank you very much. Is that agreed then? Agreed. Council, I'm such in a hurry that I have to go back to agenda item 13. Council scheme of delegation. Don't worry, I'm coming, guest. So I have to take this one. I do apologise. Council is asked to agree the authority's scheme of delegation as set out in Part 3 of the Constitution. Can I ask a member to move this item, please? Sorry,
yes,
Councillor.
Madam Mayor, I'm more than happy to move this item. I propose that we accept this.
Is that seconded?
Happy to second, Madam.
Perfect. So is that agreed? Agreed. Perfect. Okay, so I would now like to congratulate Olga Bennett on her appointment to the role of Executive Director of Resources. Members are asked to confirm the designation of the Section 151 officer role to Olga Bennett. Is that agreed? Agreed. And agenda item 16. Members are asked to agree the calendar of meetings for the coming year and authorise the Director of Law and Governance to make any further changes as required. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. And so the date of the next meeting. I would ask members to note that the date of the next meeting of full council will be taking place on Tuesday the 24th of June 2025. Council, you will be delighted to know that we have now come to the end of our programme and business items for this AGM and the inauguration. You are now invited to join me in the room next to the foyer downstairs for my mayoral reception. But can I ask, for those watching on the live stream and those across the UK and in Montserrat, thank you for joining me this evening, and do enjoy your afternoon as we go into the evening here. And for those in the conference room, can I ask you to remain there, because I will be joining you shortly for us to go down to the conference reception together. So please stay in that room and I will be joining you shortly. Council, we are now finished and I look forward to seeing you downstairs. Thank you.